On Tuesday evening, a powerful thunderstorm swept across Rome, Italy, bringing torrential rain, stormy winds and lightning and plunging the capital into chaos. In a matter of minutes, the calm late summer sky turned stormy and torrential rain pouring down the historic streets caused sudden flooding, traffic paralyzing and widespread power outage. Widespread described the storm as apocalyptic. Cars were stuck on flooded streets around the Villa Appia and Piazza Veneto. The several metro lines were forced to close due to flooding. I saw manhole covers being blown by the pre-show, said Giulia De Santis, owner of shop near Termini station. The water flooded the shops faster than could back the door. Vigili del Fuoco, the Italian fire and the rescue service reported more than 400 emergency calls across the capital. Roofs were uprooted, debris littered major roads and parts of roofs were blown by the strong gusts of winds. In the Trastevere, firefighters rescued severe residents who were trapped to their cars and the weather rose to dangerous levels.
Mai visto una roba del genere, guarda!
Authority urged residents to avoid unnecessary travel. This was one of the strongest storms in Rome has experienced in recent years, said Maria Roberta Giuliardi, who covered in the emergency task force overnight, where coordinated cleanup operation and assessment structure damage throughout the city. Meteorologists at the Italian Airport's Meteorological Center attributed the storm to a sudden collisions of the most Mediterranean air and the cold front from the northern Europe, which formed powerful thundercloud over central Italy. The conditions were ideal for the formation of supercell, planet senior meteorologist Dr. Elisa Monti. Such storm can develop with a few hours and cause heavy rain in a very short period of time. Several days, including Austria and EU, received more than 18 millimeters of rain in an hour, a much worse than a rainfall in the Sydney evening. The deluge caused a temporary power outage in some parts of the city and disrupted train service to the leisure region. A dramatic video appeared on the social media showed lightning strikes at the Coliseum, water following down the Venus steps in the residents formation human chain to help each other across the flooding.
Grandina tutta! Nebbia d'acqua, non si capisce niente.
Rome looked at the Venice of the night, journeyed one use on it. Experts warn that such extreme weather conditions are becoming more frequent. Climate change is intensified storm in Italy, said Professor Marco Bellini, a climatologist at the Supercell University. Farmer seas are feeding more energy in the atmosphere, and we are seeing the consequences of this with our eyes. By morning, cities workers are clearing debris and residents were assessing the damage. Glistered the fence trap in a reminder of sudden power of nature and growing instability of European climate. The storms came suddenly, catched residents and travelers off guard, with the windy streets were transformed into rivers. At least 2 people were injured by falling debris and dozens were rescued from the flooding cars, and the Vigili del Fuoco responded more than 500 emergency calls. "I've never seen anything like it," said Luca Perry, a taxi driver whose car was caught in the flood waters near Tiber River. "I felt like the sky was falling." The storm hit central areas hardest, including Trastevere, Tuscany, and San Giovanni, where entire intersections were flooded by flash floods, lighting lit up the sky over the Coliseum and St. Peter Basilica, creating unforgettable images that quickly spread on social media. "Rome looked at something out of the Bible," one eyewitness wrote online. "Thunder rumbled between the ancient monuments." Meteorologists from Italy's Severe Protection Department confirmed more than 19 millimeters of rainfall in less than 19 minutes.
Le macchine se ne sono andate, sono volate.
In the intensity described as expansional, the combination of warmish, laden air from the Mediterranean Sea and southern cold front from the Alps caused the explosive storm, accompanied by hail and intense electrical activity. Major Roberto Giuliardi declared a state of emergency, mobilized hundreds of municipal workers to clear fallen debris and unblocked roads. Rome drainage infrastructure could not cope with the heat and unbladed the press conference. This storm has once again demonstrated how vulnerability our city is to extreme weather conditions. Public transportation in the capital was severely disrupted. Metro lines A and B were particularly suspended, and trains from Termini station were delayed in several hours due to flooded tracks. Schools in the several districts were closed the following day to safety checks. Video posted online showed residents wading through the waist-deep water by stuck in the middle of the streets and hailstones the size of marble Pelton Park car.
Oh ragazzi, questo è l'ipercop,
In the Ostia, a coastal suburbs of Rome, wake up to 2-meter high crashed onto a safe road, damaged several beach establishments that had already been waked by previous storm. Climatologist Dr. Alexandra Conte and La Sapienza University noted that the storm reflects one alert trend. Italy is experiencing increasingly severe weather conditions due to climate instability, she said. Warmers say the more humid air contributed. The storm that used to occur once a decade but now happen every few months. Exhausted residents took the streets and saw mud-broken glass and broken branches scattered across a once bustling boulevard. Cleanup crews walked tirelessly as the city slowly returned to life, but memories of the storm lingered. "Rome is strong," said a resident near the Pentagon as she washed water from the duster, but the nature reminds who was both. Violent storm struck Rome late Monday, transforming the Italy capital into a scene of chaos rarely widespread in the recent years. When the midnight sky turned pitch black and the torrential rain, a gale force wind swept across the city, uprooted trees, flooded major roads, and caused widespread blackout. According to the Italian Civil Protection Department, the storm formed over the Mediterranean Sea before slamming into the Lazio with unprecedented intensity. "It was like a midday," said local resident Francesca Bianchi, described how lighting illuminated the street's landmark from the Coliseum to St. Belletta, and thunder echoed across the hills. Public transport was heavily disrupted. Metro Lane A was partially closed due to flooded tunnels, while firefighters responded to more than 300 emergency calls for trapped motorists and fallen debris. Rome history, where the culture turned into Russian river submerged cars on the window.
No, vabbè. Amo, vai di là, chiudi.
Meteorologists say the storm dumped over the 8 mm of rain in just 1 hour, nearly half of rain average monthly rainfall. Experts link the event of growing instability of the Mediterranean climate. Falling the water, sea temperatures, ice sheets, storms are becoming more frequent or more destructive, said Dr. Erin Tufari, a climatologist of the University of Bologna. Video shared online showed massive hailstorm pelting the streets while the residents sheltered the cafes and metro station. In the suburbs, strong winds and the roof from buildings and left thousands without electricity. Major Roberto Giuliani was called to the emergency assessment, warning that the Rome outdated drainage system can no longer handle such tropical-style weather patterns. The storm here reigned debates about the Italy preparedness for the climate extremes. As one resident wrote on social media, Rome is drawing not from the history but from the neglect. It was like the end of the world, said Marina Ferrara, a local spokesman near the Coliseum. Everything turned white in 5 minutes. The sound was pure terror. Photos and videos circulated on social media showed iconic landmarks like a Trevi Foundation and a Piazza Venezia buried in ice. Hell up to 15 centimeters deep fell in some areas, causing road closures and public transport delays. Several trees were uprooted, debris littered the I-19 ring road and severe traffic jams ensured. Outside the capital, neighboring farmland in Lazio suffered severe agriculture damage. Vineyard and olive groves were devastated, with the farmers estimated losers in the millions of euros. The crops have completely destroyed it. It is heartbreaking, said Antonio Rizzi, a farmer in Velletri. Environmental experts warn that climate change is making such extreme weather events increasingly frequent. Professor Gianni Volde and Rome University pointed out the Mediterranean is warming faster than the global average. He explained it. They mean storms generate more energy, making heavy rain and large hail from likely. Rome is reeling from the storm fury as emergency response team clear roads and assess damage. When the ethnic city has been reminded it's not immune and the intensify extreme weather caused by the climate change. Severe storms have struck Italy, Emilia-Romagna region, alleged torrential rain, hail and powerful winds that caused flash flooding, power outage and widespread disruption. The violent weather in the late Monday drenched cities including Bologna, Madeira, Ravenna and Forlì, and leaving several communities underwater within an hour. Residents described scenes of chaos, and the streets turned into rivers and vehicles were swept away. The water rose so quickly that we barely had time to measure our car, said Luca Bianchi, a shop owner in central Bologna. It was like a city was drowned. Firefighters carried out more than 800 emergency inverters overnight, rescue-standard motorists and pumped water from flooded homes. In Ravenna, authority ordered evacuation after local rivers overflowed. Wide section of the A14 motorway were temporarily closed due to landslides and debris. Meteorologists say the storm was triggered and the sharp drop in air pressure as warm, humid air from the Adriatic collided with a cold front descended from the northern Europe, a risk from intense thunderstorm. A violent hailstorm has battered parts of Sicily, transformed sun-shocked towns into city landscape and caused widespread disruption across the island. The powerful storm struck suddenly on a Tuesday afternoon, hitting Palermo, Catania and several inland communities with the torrents of rain and a hailstorm as large as a walnut. Within a minute, roads turned white, cars were dented with the flash floods swept through the narrow streets. It looked like a stormy August, said Maria Russa, a shop owner in Catalnesia. The hail came down so fast and hard it broke out window and filtered the shop floor with water. Emergency crews were distributed across Sicily as a local authority received hundreds of distress calls. Firefighters worked late into the night to rescue drivers trapped in the submerged vehicles and clearing hail-pocket roads. In Palermo, parts of the Sicily Historic Center were blanketed in ice to 15 centimeters deep, forcing police to close several main roads and tunnels. Meteorologists say the storm was triggered by intense grayish air masses, warm humid rise from the Mediterranean colding with a cold front descended from the northern Europe. Meteorologists from the Italian Air Force Meteorological Center attributed the phenomenon of supercell storm. They explained it in a result from the sudden collisions between most air from the Tyrrhenian Sea and a cold front air masses moving south from the Central Europe. The constant created the perfect environment for the formation of giant hailstones, explained senior meteorologist Elena Moretti. Public transportation suffered severe disruption with the metro line E temporarily suspended due to flooding at multiple stations. Major arterial roads in the city experienced severe traffic conditions, paralyzed urban function. Authority urged residents to avoid non-essential outing while drainage channels and the road continue to be clear. Experts warn this phenomenon is a part of concerned terrain. Climate analyst Dr. Paolo Rossi stated, "These extreme weather events are not longer isolated occurrences, they are increasing in frequency and intensity, representing a direct sign of climate change impacting the Mediterranean basin." Amid the chaos, no fatalities were reported, though the several people sustained minor injuries from the flying debris. As a calm returned, Rome was reminded once again, ever is timeless, beauty cannot escape the growing fury of nature. Rome was struck by unexpected violent hailstorm, transformed ancient streets into rivers of ice. Within the minutes, the Italian capital, known for its warm autumn nights, was pelted by hailstorms the size of walnuts, created on unusual winter scenes of mid-October. According to meteorologists, the phenomenon resulted from the violent collisions between most Mediterranean air and a sudden cold front from northern Europe. These collisions swept the massive cumulonimbus clouds, bringing torrential rain and intense hail accompanied by gusts reaching 19 km per hour. It felt like being inside an ice-filled washed machine, said the residents near Piazza, Venezia. Emergency services were overwhelmed by hundreds of calls. Firefighters rescued drivers trapped in the flooded cars and subway station closed due to flooding. Major throughout the lack of cars and streets along the Tiber River become impossible. Rome is not structurally equipped to handle with the kids of weather, noted Luca Bianchi of the City of Civil Protection Department. Our system simply cannot cope with the sudden extreme rainfall. Hospital territory doesn't endure after slippery on frozen sidewalks. Tourists were equally astonished. Video circulated widely on social media showing iconic landmarks surrounded by palms and hail sparking combination of northern European winter. Authorities warning of potential group damage in nearly laser farmland, particularly vineyards and olive groves. Experts note that while hailstorms are not unusual in the central Italy, an intensity of the scale and episode underline a growing volatile weather patterns linking to climate change. A cleanup operations continue. Residents are left reflecting on yet another reminder of nature forcing the city form of the history but increasingly tested by modern climate extremes. Rome was hit by a sudden and violent hailstorm, which turned in the historic streets and Italian capital into the city rivers and caused significant disruption to normal life in the city. The storm, which hit late in the evening, blanketed the city with a hailstorm the size of walnuts, breaking windows, damaged cars, and injured dozens of residents and tourists. Within minutes, cobbled streets and famous squares were covered with a white blanket, created scenes more reminiscent of winter and autumn. Severe quickly overlapped caused flash flood that swept through the central area, including Trastevere and Appia. Cars were stuck in icy water and buses and trams stopped while emergency service dealt with debris. Rome Florence Airport reported delays after runway were temporarily covered in hail and lightning forces ground staff and suspended operations. Train service ended from Termini station was also severely disrupted, leaving hundreds of passengers stranded overnight. Hospitals treat dozens of people and injuries from the fallen branches, slapping on the sky streets and broken glass. It was terrible, said Lucia Bianchi, a local resident. The hailstones were so long and sounding like bullets hitting the window. Video posted online showed streams of hail falling down the Spanish states and a fountain overflowing throughout the city. The storms also left a mark on agriculture, vineyard and olive groves around the Lazio. Suffered significant damage, with the farmers reported crops losers just weeks before harvest. For us, it is a disaster, said Marco Rossi, a farmer near Frascati. Months of work were destroyed in half an hour. Meteorologists said the storm was caused a collision between most Mediterranean air and a cold front moving south, conditions increasingly associated with a climate instability. Experts warning that the Rome, like many southern Europe cities, is becoming increasingly vulnerable to sudden extreme weather events. Rome was hit by unexpected and several hailstorms that covered historic capital with a layer of ice, creating several scenes to resemble weather rather than early autumn. The sudden storm swept through the city on Tuesday afternoon, disrupted traffic, flooding subway station and forcing prediction to seek shelter. Local authorities reported that hailstorms, some the size of a golf ball, fell in nearly 20 minutes, covering squares, roads and even areas around the Coliseum. Emergency crews were disrupted to clear broken drains after torrential rain mixing with the ice caused flash flooding in several low-lying areas. Public transport was severely affected, with the several metro lines temporarily suspended due to water ingress. Drivers described terrified moments where the visibility dropped to almost zero. It was like a sky was falling, and the hail bending to so loudly, and the roof in the car was where could hit each other, said the city resident Marco Rossi. Businesses in the city center rushed to protect their shop windows, while cafes and restaurants along the Via del Corso lost their outdoor sitting areas which were destroyed with the hail. Social media quickly filled with the images of Rome cobbled trees turned into rivers and ice caused astonishment around the world. Meteorologists explained that the storm was caused of the sudden collision to warm Mediterranean air with a cold front and swept through the central Italy, an increasingly common pattern associated with the climate instability. Experts warned that such intense hailstorms are becoming more frequent in southern Europe. Despite the chaos, no serious injuries were reported, although dozens of people were treated in hospital to minor cuts on businesses. The mayor of Rome urged residents to remain cautious, emphasizing the city vulnerability to extreme weather events. For many Romans, the storm was stark reminder for the power of nature and the need to better preparedness in the era-changing climate realities. Italy is facing a major crisis after catastrophic floods swept through the parts of the country, with Sicily and Tuscany bearing the brunt of devastation. Torrential rain over the past week was causing rivers to overflow, triggering landslides, and left entire communities underwater. The flood, described as some of the worst in recent memory, have claimed lives, displaced thousands, and caused widespread damage to infrastructure and homes. In Sicily, the latest rainstorm had left widespread flooding across the urban and rural area alike. In the island capital Palermo, streets have turned into rivers, with the cars submerged and many residents forced to evacuate. Catania, another major city, has also been severely affected, with widespread damage reported in a historic center. The floods have overwhelmed the drainage system, leaving emergency services struggle to keep with the demand to rescue operations. Many people have been trapped in their homes and helicopters have been destroyed to relieve residents from isolated areas. A powerful storm hit Sicily. Italy caused severe weather conditions that resulted in widespread destruction across the island. The storm, characterized by heavy rain, gale force winds, led to widespread flooding, power outage, and extensive damage to infrastructure. Local authorities report that the crises of Catania and Palermo have been hit by hardest hit. In Catania, streets turned into rivers, and water level rose in 3 during years. The historic city center, which usually turned to tourists, is now eerily quiet. Emergency service tried to cope with the field. Video shared on social media showed cars submerged and residents walking throughout the waist-deep water. The meteorological service has recorded widespread up to 100 km/h, which further agriculture to situation. Trees have been uprooted, roofs have been wrapped off buildings, and debris is scattered to roadway, making the travel dangerous. The regional government has issued a red alert, urged residents to stay at home and avoid unnecessary travel. In Palermo, the storm led to similar extent to chaos. In local airport was temporarily closed due to flooding of runway, leading to flight cancellation and delays.
Cosa incredibile.
The human toll of storm is still being aced. At least 3 deaths have been confirmed so far, including the elderly man who drowned in flooding basement in Messina and young delivery driver who was swept away by flood waters in Catania. Dozens of people have been injured, many of them due to fallen debris and traffic incidents on the road, Middleside, Pillary or rain. Sicilian Governor Renata Citrelli visited the flooded areas on Tuesday, calling that the managed helicopters and promised long-term support. We will not abandon our people. The recovery will be with incomplete, we promised during the press conference. Local volunteers arrived the affected areas, diverted fluid and helping to clear debris. Social media is now filled not only image and destructive but also of solidarity. Neighbors stretch offering shoulders and young groups organized donated drivers. School in several provinces remain closed to damage assessment continue. Psychologists have been sent to provide assistance to children and families affected by trauma, especially in the hardest hit community of Gela and Lixita.
Sono le macchine sotto acqua, ragazzi. Questa è via Sant'Alessio.
Guarda che roba questo.
Guardate questo signore.
Storm winds with the cyclone rotation around the lowland between Basilicata and Campania, when gets up to 100 km/h in the lower Terranian Sea. Sicilian, Ionian and Adriatic straits as the result of strong winds surge along the open coast. The situation is less critical in the West Mons basins and the Upper Terranian Sea, but weather is raging in Lazio, but not only there. Strong storms surge throughout the Italy and snow at the well low altitude. The sea is stormy off the coast of Ponza is the ferry connecting of the island Formia and the marker of the waves. The ship brought to the Formia left an hour late today. By evening it was still and the road can left Ponza at 3:13 p.m. It is expected to arrive Formia around 8:45 p.m. Rome, Italy was hit by unprecedented hailstorm, surprised and catching locals by tourists of Guad. The storm brought heavy rain, lightning and hailstorm the size of a golf ball, caused damage of cars, homes and businesses. Witness reported hearing long bands of the hailstorm stuck roofs and windows. Many took to social media share photos and video of severe storm, with some experienced disbelief of such weather could occur in a normally sunny sea.
A Faenza, in provincia di Ravenna. Il fiume Lamone è altissimo da record, sta provocando allagamenti, qui siamo nella zona del borgo, via Cimatti. Purtroppo tutte queste autovetture saranno da buttare.
Several roads were closed and flash floods combined with a thick layer of hail turned into highway into slippery, impossible surface. The damage to agriculture is catastrophic. Vineyard in Venezia and orange in Madeira have suffered total losers, with the farmers estimated damage at over 200 million euros. Years to work destroyed in 20 minutes, said winemaker Matteo Galli. We have never seen such large hailstones. They punched holes in a metal roof. Meteorologists from Italy National Meteorological Agency explained that the intense collision of most Mediterranean air and cold northern winds created a supercell, a rotten thunderstorm capable of producing giant hailstorm and a sudden gust of winds. The temperature dropped by more than 10 Celsius in less than an hour, shocking residents who were enjoying a midsummer events. Hospitals in several provinces treated dozens of people took cuts of berries from the broken glass and ice. Fortunately, no deaths were reported, although local officials warning to such extreme weather events are becoming more common. Italy is becoming increasingly vulnerable to violent weather, say climatologist Dr. Lucia Ferrara. Rising sea temperatures in the Mediterranean are contributing to stronger and faster developing storms. At dawn, residents took to streets and found their streets covered in ice, cars damaged, windows broken and crops destroyed. For many Italians, it was a stark reminder of the growing instability of nature and warning for the storm to come.
Questo è un grosso problema, molto grosso. Porta via il negozio qua, adesso porta via macchine e tutto.
A sudden violent hailstorm struck Rome, Italy, covering part of the capital in ice and causing severe disruption to daily life. The storm, which erupted late in the afternoon, estimated. Both residents and tourists with the intensity transformed the eternal city into the unreal winter scene in the middle of autumn. According to Italy's Severe Protection Agency, hailstones the size of walnuts fell continuously for about 20 minutes, damaged vehicles, tried to reach windows and return through outdoor restaurant avoid. Emergency service prevented hundreds of rescue requests, particularly in central and northern districts like Pirelli, Prati and Flaminio, where roads flooded instantly. The traffic came to completely standstill. Video posted online showed vehicles plummeting through the thick layer of hail and pedestrians seek shelters on the sidewalks and subway station away. Local residents Giulia De Santis, caught in the storm on her way home, said it was like a blizzard. I could believe this was Rome. Meteorologists from Italy's Severe Protection Agency described the phenomenon as a supercell outbreak. While rare in southern Europe, such events are becoming more frequent. The contrast between extreme heat and a cold front from the Alps created the perfect storm, explained senior meteorologist Dr. Andrea Lombardi. This level of intense fire used to occur once every 10 years, but how it happened every year. Severe damage occurred in rural area. Farmers in poor river basin reported corn, tomato, and grape crops crushed by hail. Some farms suffered total destruction just before harvest, with the initial estimated putting damage over 100 million euros. Luigi Ferrara, a farmer in Emilia-Romagna, said it looked like a battlefield. Everything we built this season is gone. Images shared on social media showed cars buried in a hail, roads covered in knee-deep ice, and rescue walkers navigating parts of white like sky slow. In Florence, heavy hail following the hail causing into Arno River to temporarily overflow, flooding low-lying areas. Raising the alarm over significant damage to crops, vineyard and olive groves. The region economy were damaged, raising concerns about the shortage and price tracks. Local markets lost fresh produce, water and ice, and destroyed market stalls. Dramatic video approached the social media showing hailstone pelted down of the Coliseum with some clip centimeters of the view of meteor in hour. Meteorologists warned the such severe meteor previously rare in Rome could become common in rising sea temperatures, intensify storm in the southern Europe. A Rome cleaner ice from the streets and eases the financial damage. The storm has represented the debate about the urban resilience, climate change adaptation, and the Italian capital's preparedness for the increasingly unpredictability of nature. Public transportation was severely disrupted, leaving passengers stranded. The coastal area faced to burst with a storm and strong wave, crashing against the coastline, caused erosions to damage the sea definitions. Emergency services are working around the clock to help those in need. The Italian Red Cross has mobilized teams to support the most affected areas, offering shelters and distributing basic necessities. Refuse operations are ongoing, with the reports of people trapped in their homes due to rising waters. Helicopters have been deployed to evacuate those to imminent danger year. The impact of the storm on agriculture is also a growing concern. Sicily knows the serious growth of vineyard forces potential devastation. Initial estimates suggest significant crops losers with a could have the long-term economic impact of the region farming communities. Italian Prime Minister Conte has experienced solidarity with the affected residents, pledging government aid to resources to support recovery efforts. He praised the resilience of the Sicilian people and terrorist efforts to rescues. Meteorologists predict severe weather conditions will continue over the next 24 hours and advise residents to remain vigilant. As Sicily struggles with the aftermath and the disaster of focus to ensure the safety of the residents is beginning to arduous task to rebuilding. The full extent of the damage will become clear in the coming days, but for now Sicily is widespread the storm-related result. Its steps disappeared under murky water. Rural Sicily was not spared entire. The contrast of the tempest of olive groves and vineyards were ravaged. The castles of Sicily, rich agriculture heritage, which helpfully to their fields were submerged, their livelihoods momentarily wiped out the storm war. The damage of the agriculture sector is cornerstone of the Sicily economy is yet to be fully equipped, but early estimates suggest a significant impact. The storm has also rekindled discussions about the climate change and the increasingly visible impact. Scientists point to rising temperature in the Mediterranean in contrast of more frequent and intense weather patterns. This storm in Sicily is not an isolated incident but horrible to changing climate in respect not geographical barriers. Amidst the chaos have been hearing displays of resilience and solidarity. Communities have together to support avoided evacuation support to provide shelters to those displaced. This collision swapped the powerful rotation thunderstorm, known the supercell, generated giant hailstorm the hurricane-force gas. Dozens of flights were delayed at Milan Malpensa Airport and Florence Peretola Airport, while the rail service forced major disruption. Devastating damage occurred in a rural area, vineyard in Prosecco and Chianti region suffered extensive damage, where the initial estimated protection agriculture losses exceeded 18 million euros. Farmers described the storms as brutal and unprecedented. Giulia De, an vineyard owner in Lombardy, stated, "I've never seen hail with a beak. In 10 minutes, my entire harvest was lost." Video shared on social media showed vehicles buried in a hail, roads resembled sky shows, and the shop plow crews collecting ice with the build zones. Environmental experts warn that the climate change while rising Mediterranean sea temperatures are making such violent storms more frequent. This is no longer a rare phenomenon, noted the Dr. Matteo Folfi, a climate scientist at the University of Florence. Warmer air holds more energy and emits too, creating ideal conditions for the formation of destructive hailstorm. As the recovery efforts continue across Italy, this storm serves as dark reminder of Europe rapidly changing weather patterns and how our sun-drenched region and the face relentless power of unstoppable climate.